Did you know that children count for over 1/4 of the entire U.S. population? That comes to 779 million people. Of those children, the average one will watch 1,680 minutes of TV a week. That comes to 28 hours a week, which comes to about 1,500 hours a year. That's an insane amount of TV for a child to watch, right? Well, in those hours, it's estimated that by the time a child ends elementary school, they will have seen 8,000 murders on TV. By the time they're 18, that comes to about 200,000 murders. What I'm getting at is that letting your child watch TV, no restrictions, has serious consequences. And what I'm going to try to do throughout this speech is to motivate you to monitor what your child's watching more, talk to them about it, talk to them about what they're seeing, and try and implement the values from your household into your child's viewing habits. And the way I'm going to convince you of this is through the values that TV implies, the actions that those values ultimately end up providing for children, and your household relationship because of those things. So to start off with, the different values that TV implements in children are severe. And the first one is that children are taught to win at any cost. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, that's kind of a good thing, isn't it? It's teaching children to have more incentive to do things. But the thing is, it's what the children are doing to win that's the problem, because TV's teaching them that violence is okay, sex is okay, and manipulation is okay, along with various other things that we may know are not okay. But when you're a child about 9 years old, you may not realize that. Another value that TV is now implementing in children is that wealth materialism is all that matters. Children don't really have value about things unless it comes to a monetary value now. There's no volunteering, there's no just realizing yourself, because the only realization that they have is money. The third value is fame. Children are taught that it's okay to do anything as long as it gets you famous. You hear these horror stories about children who are beating kids up, putting it on video just so long as it can go viral and they get their name out there for about 15 seconds. You have 13-year-old kids that are doing stripteases on YouTube just so they can get their name out there. That to me is insane. Along with those values, children are being taught, like I kind of hinted at before, that violence and sex go unpunished. And in reality, that's not how it is. But according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, children who are in the 90th percentile of TV viewing habits, that means children that watch TV the most, are twice as likely to initiate sex at an earlier age. Also, if you don't know this, the number 2 reason for youth death rates in America is violence, is youth violence. And 10% of those have a direct causal effect with TV, according to the Academy of American Pediatric Association. So children who are watching, these are children TV shows too that are influencing this. It's not just reality TV or adult TV programs. It said that children's TV literally presents you with 20 violent acts per the hour because it gets you higher ratings. So you would think that with all these causal effects that they do something about it, but they haven't, and it's not just affecting children on a social level, it's now affecting them in school as well. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, 85% of public schools can account for at least one fight in the past 12 months. Overall, that comes to 2 million crimes committed in public schools in the past 12 months. After having a survey conducted in Michigan through grades 9 through 12, 31% of students admitted to being in a fight in the past 12 months. 11% of those students admitted to having a fight on school property in the last 12 months. And that's just those who admit them. You can only imagine how many have actually had a fight on school property. So how can you learn in an environment like this? It's almost impossible, right? That's why studies have shown that children who do watch more TV are more likely to drop out of high school, and they're also less likely to get into college. But it's not just education, it's also your health. Students' health are being affected. Take smoking, for example. We all know that there are a lot of causal effects for students to smoke. But did you know that TV has a higher correlation rate with early smoking than peer smoking does, parent smoking does, and gender? Also, this is kind of known fact, but it needs to be said, that watching TV does create a positive thought process about alcohol use. And this is in children, like I said before, at 9 years old at the youngest. They should not be drinking alcohol that young. I think we can agree. Another known fact that we know about around ages 9 through 13 is that that's when teenage rebellion kind of starts to fester in kids. The whole thing with rebellion is that, well, children are trying to shed that childhood image of themselves and recreate their individual self. Some of the ways that they do this is through disrespect to their parents. We all know the typical teenager, the world doesn't understand me, and they rebel against their parents. But TV also has a high effect on how they act out like that. A lot of the children's TV shows, I don't know if any of you are familiar with these, but there are shows like iCarly, Sam and Cat, things like that. They don't even have parents in the show to regulate their children. Some of the shows that do have parents in them, the children don't pay any respect, or they make fools of the parents almost. So when you're at home and you start noticing those behaviors that I mentioned earlier, like sex or drugs or drinking, why would the child listen to you? Because on TV, they didn't have parents to answer to. And if they did have parents to answer to, the parents were idiots. So why do they continue to show these kinds of shows on TVs? If they have all of these studies showing that they have negative effects, well, they have high ratings. It's shown that if you put violence in a child's TV show, they'll be more likely to watch it. Which is why, as parents, you should really be monitoring and watching what they're seeing on TV. And if you do see something like sex or drugs or violence, talk to your kids about it. What's okay and what's not okay in real life, not just on TV. It's a fact, according to the American Medical Association, that 2,888 out of 3,000 studies show a direct causal effect from TV violence to real life. That's extreme. So as parents, like I said before, you need to take action. You need to not just let your kids have their little private TV in their room and then watch whatever they want and then not say anything about it. Because by the time you notice the effects that TV is going to have on them, it's really going to be too late. So take action now, reap the benefits later. That's it. And then I'll